Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself. Oh, and if you don't mind, like, subscribe, comment. And I've got a link tree down below that's got my social media, and it has my Patreon if you want to help out. Thank y'all. This is a long story of corruption and lies that led to unnecessary deaths of a couple in a no-knock raid of their home. From this, a former Houston officer was sentenced to 60 years for murder, which is the first time a member of law enforcement, while they were on the clock in Houston, this happened. The woman that sparked the raid with a fake 911 call ended up going to federal prison as well. There are a dozen officers facing charges, so it does not end with the former officer Gerald Goins and Patricia Garcia, the person who called 911. A prosecutor has been let go for mishandling the case, which has meant another officer had murder charges dropped, though he is still indicted for organized criminal activity. This is not the first city to have this sort of problem, which should make people wonder what is happening in their own location. People are supposed to trust their law enforcement, which is why I put this information out there. We, the people, are the only ones who can get the changes done that can bring back trust. Okay, let's first go into the initial call or calls that sparked this deadly raid. This is coming from Houston Public Media. Patricia Garcia was the first person to be sentenced in connection with the deadly raid in which Dennis Tuttle, 59, and his wife Rogina Nicholas, 58, were fatally shot on January 28, 2019. Prosecutors have alleged Goins, who led the raid, lied to obtain the warrant to search the couple's home by claiming a confidential informant had bought heroin there. Goins later said there was no informant and he bought the drugs himself, they allege. Police found small amounts of marijuana and cocaine in the house, but no heroin. During a federal court hearing done over video Tuesday, prosecutor Alamdar Hamdani said Garcia made 3 911 calls on the evening of January 8, 2019, in which he told police her daughter was being held against her will inside the couple's home. The couple were drug dealers and had guns inside their house. Hamdani said Garcia had no daughter and that her other claims were also false, made while she was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Garcia had a long-running dispute with the couple, and the 911 calls were made to get back at them, according to authorities. Prosecutors don't suggest Garcia was the cause of the couple's death 20 days later, but that night things were set in motion, Hamdani said. Miss Garcia dialed 911 and intended to use those 3 digits as a weapon. Hamdani said after Tuttle and Nicholas were killed, Garcia continued to not be remorseful, telling police she was tired of all the people who came to their neighborhood to mourn the couple's death. In a brief statement, Garcia said she made the false 911 calls. She wasn't in my right mind. In March, Garcia pled guilty to 1 count of providing false information. I'm never meant for anyone to die the way they did. I am so sorry for my 911 telephone calls, Garcia said. So this woman got 3 years and a couple of months for what she did. Here be a reason is what happened before and during the raid. An officer visited the Harding Street house and saw no evidence of criminal activity. A supervisor asked Goins, a 34-year veteran assigned to Squad 15 of the Houston Police Department's Narcotics Division, to investigate Garcia's tip. 2 weeks later, after an investigation that was cursory, if not non-existent, Goins obtained a no-knock search warrant claiming a confidential informant had bought heroin at the house from a white male whose name is unknown. Goins reported that the informant had seen a large quantity of baggies containing heroin, along with the semi-auto handgun of a 9mm caliber, a claim he used to bolster justification for allowing him and his colleagues to enter the home without knocking. and announcing themselves. Police ultimately found personal use quantities of marijuana and cocaine at the house, but there was no heroin, no other evidence of drug dealing, and no 9mm pistol. Goins later confessed he had invented the heroin purchase. The information came to light only after the cops broke into Tuttle and Nicholas's home and immediately shot the couple's dog. Tuttle, who according to prosecutors was napping in a bedroom at the time of the raid, responded to the tumult and gunfire by grabbing a pistol and shooting at the intruders, injuring 4 of them, including Goins, who was shot in the face. The officers responded with a hail of at least 40 bullets, killing Tuttle and Nicholas, who was unarmed but allegedly looked like she was about to grab a gun from an injured officer. Now, here via Fox 26 Houston is some more about indictments other than just Goins. Several former Houston Police Department officers have been reindicted on charges in connection to the 2019 Harding Street raid that resulted in the deaths of 2 civilians. According to court records, 8 individuals were charged and engaging in organized criminal activity and named in documents. Those named include recently convicted former HPD officer Gerald Goins, Sergeant Thomas Wood, Oscar Pardo, Nadim Ashraf, Frank Medina, Clemente Reyna, Cliff Maxwell, Stephen Bryant, Haji Armstrong, Sadell Lovings, and Felipe Gallegos. And those are just 8 officers. There were more, but I'm about to go into why that didn't happen. Okay, here's via Houston Public Media, another one. Remember, all this is on my Substack. Here via Houston Public Media is how murder charges were dropped for police officer Felipe Gallegos. The Harris County District Attorney's Office announced Tuesday that a murder charge has been dismissed against former Houston police officer Felipe Gallegos, who was previously charged with felony murder in the aftermath of the 2019 Harding Street raid. In a statement, a spokesman for the DA's office said the dismissal was the result of misconduct from a former prosecutor who had handled the case. The prosecutor's behavior raised concerns about his judgment and resulted in his termination from the office. Out of duty and an abundance of caution, all evidence in the shooting will be re-reviewed, the statement read. The evidence will now be presented to a new grand jury in order to determine whether the original felony murder conviction was warranted. Okay, here via the Harris County DA's website is announcing the conviction of Gerald Goins. A former Houston Police Department narcotics officer was sentenced Tuesday to 60 years in prison for killing 2 people in a no-knock drug raid. In 2019, Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg announced, "This is historic because we believe that this is the first ever murder conviction of a Houston area law enforcement officer committed while in uniform," Ogg said. "We hope other victims who have been hurt or wrongfully accused or even convicted see the courage of these families and also come forward." Gerald Goins, 60, was convicted of felony murder after a 2-week trial in September for his role in the murder of Dennis Tuttle and his wife Regina Nicholas, who were fatally shot in their southeast Houston home on Harding Street on January 28, 2019. Jurors deliberated for 10 hours after Monday's closing arguments in the punishment phase before handing down the verdict. Goins' conviction stemmed from lying to a judge to get a no-knock warrant for Tuttle's home by saying Tuttle 59 and Nicholas 58 were heroin dealers, which they weren't. Now, you know the Houston DA has to wonder about drug convictions that came from Goins. And so here be a reason is what's going on in that case. The Harris County District Attorney's Office, meanwhile, is examining more than 1,400 criminal cases in which Goins has been involved since joining the Houston Police Department in 1984. Our duty is to see that justice is done in every case, Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg said in a press release yesterday. Although the criminal investigation of Officer Goins is ongoing, we have an immediate ethical obligation to notify defendants and their lawyers in Goins' other cases to give them an opportunity to independently review any potential defenses. The defendants in 27 pending cases were notified yesterday, while notification in older cases are ongoing. Judges routinely rubber stamp search warrant applications like the one Goins submitted in this case, where a single officer acting on an anonymous tip to have arranged a drug purchase by an unnamed CI. Since there is no way for the judge to verify the applicant's claim, he simply has to trust that the cop is not making stuff up. Once it is clear that a cop is willing to make stuff up, that trust evaporates, calling into question the validity of every search warrant he has ever obtained. As the Houston Chronicle reported last week, Goins had already been accused of perjury and mishandling evidence in an ongoing drug case where he was suspected of inventing a CI. Seems likely that many defendants will have grounds to challenge convictions based on Goins' testimony or on evidence discovered in searches authorized by warrants that he obtained. This is not the story of just a single city. There have been cities. Baltimore is another big one that had something like this happen. Now, thankfully, the Baltimore one didn't end up with people dying that I know of, but several cities have had this problem. We have to end this. We have to get back to the point that we can trust our law enforcement officers. I don't know what it's going to take. It's going to take everybody working together, and right now we can't. As this election has shown, you've got so many forces that are working against each other. It's not for the people anymore. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what you come here for is not that I'm going to argue against people. Yes, there are people I don't like, and I will voice my opinion. But let me tell you something. We have to work together as the people, as the voters, as the taxpayers, as the citizens of this nation. We have to work towards making this not keep happening. We have to, or else more people are going to be in graves instead of being at home where they're supposed to be. You can take that as whatever you want to take it as, but that is my hope. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Folks, I just want to say thank you for listening. I want to thank you for taking your time. I want to hear what your comments are about what you think on this topic, because your comments are what's important, not necessarily mine. I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're Democrat. I want to hear your opinion on these topics. I want to thank you yet again for listening to my video. Like, subscribe, and all that other hoopla. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.